Greetings again, gang. I'm back. Okay, so I want to talk about something that is not happening yet, but is definitely on the horizon. Okay, and like the title of the video says, is street justice. Now, a lot of us remember the Charles Bronson movies, Death Wish. Yeah, Bruce Willis did a bad sequel or whatever it was. And then, of course, you had, like Kurt Russell's movie of Escape from New York, and again, because crime in the United States got so bad that, Bronson in his movie, went after the criminals who killed his family on his own. In Escape from New York, it's supposed to be set in 1997. They turned New York City into a prison because crime was so bad in the United States. I'll give you a quick story, and this one happened in Russia just a couple of days ago. Mrs. P found this reading the news. There was a 67-year-old woman who was raped and murdered by a couple of migrants. Now, the news story doesn't say where the migrants are from, and I don't want anybody to think it's Afghani or anything like that, because as Mrs. P said, most of the migrants in Russia come from Turkmenistan and Tajikistan. Okay, not saying that that's where they're from either, but the news media did say that they were migrants. Now, what wound up happening? Well, the people in the hostel, if you know what that is, it's kind of like a dormitory, were extremely pissed off, and the media was trying to hold them back because, as the media put it, these people wanted to lynch these two guys. Now, didn't happen, but this is what could happen in an SHTF situation. And it could happen sooner, because if you kind of take a look at what happened earlier this week in the United States on the House Judiciary Committee, okay, run by Jerry Nadler, I'll remember him from, Roly-Poly there. Nadler looks like the chick from Willy Wonka who ate all the blueberries. But the Judiciary Committee is opening up their amnesty plan to illegal alien gang members, registered sex offenders, convicted drunk drivers, those convicted of firearms or explosive offenses. The Democrats want to be able to give all these people a green card and eventually allow them to be American citizens. Now, Nadler comes up and says, this is his quote, "Whether someone has to wear 6 or 10 or 20 convictions of DUI 30 years ago, someone could change. You may have any number of convictions for DUI because you're a drunk, because you're an alcoholic, but you may also cease to be an alcoholic. And we all know people who are no longer alcoholics and ought to be able to enjoy the benefits of the law." Okay. Ask anybody who's ever been to an AA meeting. You are never no longer an alcoholic. You are basically an alcoholic forever. Okay. Recidivism is real. The reason people stop drinking is because they don't want to get in trouble anymore, and they know alcohol gets them in trouble. But the DUI stuff is the least of the worries in this proposal that the Democrats are trying to rush through in their bill here. Okay. Illegal alien gang members, MS-13, registered sex offenders, those convicted of firearms or explosive offenses, terrorists, kind of go through that. Let me give you this. This is where I say that the U.S. is completely screwed with our judicial system and allowing these people in. Here are the average penalties that somebody gets, the average prison time that somebody gets for a few offenses in the United States. First-degree murder, 17.3 years. Rape, 14.8. Armed robbery. Sorry, it just got covered up. Armed robbery. I don't have it there all of a sudden. Okay. Second-degree murder, 5.9 years. Oh, there we go. Armed robbery, 9.25 years. Kidnapping, 4.3 years. Sexual abuse of a child, 3 years. Drug trafficking, 4.2 years. Gun possession, 2 years. Okay? We keep hearing about, the prisons are overpopulated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, constantly we're told, these people have been rehabilitated or whatever. I mean, was it a few weeks ago, Sirhan was released from prison. Granted, he spent 50 some odd years in prison for killing Robert Kennedy, but originally he was sentenced to death. Okay? That should have been carried out. Now, as the courts get more liberal and liberal and liberal with the, we can't put this person in jail. They only raped 2 people. Imagine those 2 people were your wife, your daughter, your mother, whatever it would be. You're going to be pissed, okay? We can't, we've got to let this guy out of jail. He only murdered 2 people. Again, your husband, your son, your granddaughter, whatever it would be. You're going to be pissed. Crime is going up like crazy in this country. Last 18 months during COVID, crime has gone through the roof. Okay. Defund the police. We want to get rid of the police department to do anything. States attorneys, attorneys general, prosecutors, whatever, are refusing to prosecute cases because, it's too much work. We don't think we can get a conviction for this guy. All those riots that we had in San Francisco and Portland and Minnesota, as far as I know, one person from burning down all those buildings, i.e. arson, okay, one person so far has gone to jail, all right? This is where I say what happens if we have street justice. There's, in a WROL scenario, street justice is what's going to happen. And the Democrats are trying to push this with this latest amnesty plan. I mean, to bring illegal alien gang members. That's MS-13, guys, plain, pure, and simple. That's it, okay? I mean, we're not talking about the Italian mafia. We're not talking about the Yakuza or anything like that, all right? We're talking about MS-13. We're talking about potentially cartel members from Mexico coming through. That's who we want to give citizenship to. Convicted sex offenders. I don't know. We all talk about Jeffrey Epstein and the uproar about everything that happened with him. Yeah. Okay. If Jeffrey Epstein was a citizen of any other country, Jerry Nadler and the rest of the cast of clowns want to say, sure, let him come to the United States and be a citizen so he can, molest your children. What would you do if this was your kid? These people are going to be let into the country. Don't think for a second that they're going to be, I'm in the United States right now. I'm going to be a good boy. It doesn't work that way. I keep saying lately that we're going to go back to the 1800s, okay? The lifestyle. And everything I read, the more and more and more, I think that's inevitably going to happen. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where it's going to be public hanging because it has to. That's going to be the only way to stop any of this insanity. When people see what if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Well, when you see some guy hung from the gallows there, maybe you think about it before you do something next. That, guys, we all talk all the time. Carry 24/7. A lot of us do. Okay? Why? Because stuff like this, this is the group of people that they want to let in to be your next door neighbor. The guy who lives in the next apartment, the guy who lives across the hall from you. Then we want to, we've got to help them, so we have to buy them a house. So they buy the house next door to you in your nice little quaint suburb. This is what's coming, guys. Do you want somebody who's a convicted sex offender next door to you? Do you want somebody who is an MS-13 gang member across the street from you? Do you want somebody who's got 14 DUIs living down the street from you and your kids play out in the street during the day? Do you want to be the one that comes home one day and finds that your world has been completely turned upside down? Levels of depression have gone through the roof since COVID-19 started. Okay? People are on a short string. And these people that they want to let into the United States are on a teeny tiny string. You know, gee, I don't have a job. I don't have any money. I can't afford my prostitute. Oh, but there's that 12-year-old girl down the street. She looks good. That's the mentality, guys. That's what you need to pay attention to. That is what your government is trying to force into your neighborhood. They're not moving next door to Nancy Pelosi. They're not moving next door to Jerry Nadler. They're going to be next door to you and me. And personally, I rue the day that I got to deal with somebody like that. Pinball out.